Hi, and welcome to another edition of Real Reviews Cinematic Underground. I'm Chuck. I'm Chike, that's
You're
Chuck.
not Chuck. You don't want to be Chuck.
Yeah, I'm Chike, that's Chuck, and we're back with another week of reviews.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it really has.
You have some catching up to do.
Oh, I had catching up to do.
Catching up. It's your show, man. I'm just here.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting here.
I suppose so. So I want to start off with The Hobbit.
Okay.
What'd you think?
I liked it, but it was too long.
Oh yeah.
It was far too long. It's a movie made for Hobbit fans. I mean, fans of the Tolkien stuff. Fans, and when I say the word fan in this sense, I do mean fanatics.
Exactly.
Which is where a fan comes from. It is meticulous. I mean, Jackson is quite meticulous as far as getting all the details in, and for the fans, they will love that. For people who have a passing interest in this, like me, while I appreciated the artistry of it, it was far too long, and it became far too repetitious for me. I mean, they get in a jam, they get out of the jam. They find a new civilization. They leave there, they get in a jam, looks like they're all going to die, but they get out of it. And then, it's like you can only take so many last-minute saves before it becomes, really, I know you're going to get out of this, so why are you even messing with this? So
I agree.
It became repetitious for me.
I agree. For me, the biggest thing that I enjoyed was the fact that you have Martin Freeman, a guy who I've known for a very long time.
Personally?
No.
Does he come over for dinner?
I wish.
Okay.
No. He's had roles in the British Office, and he has had a huge hit with the Sherlock TV series. But him as Bilbo Baggins, I thought, was a perfect choice. But oddly enough, he's not my favorite part of the movie. There's a guy named James Nesbitt who has a conversation with Bilbo about whether he actually belongs with this group of dwarfs.
I say, he's like the dwarf king or the dwarf prince.
No,
who's trying to get them back.
He's not the dwarf prince. That's oh god.
They all look the same.
I don't remember his name.
They all look the same.
But he's the one with the giant mustache.
Yeah, whatever. Okay.
He has that conversation right as Bilbo is about to sneak out and leave, and it's he's the one who made the movie for me. Not the big guy who's basically what's his name? Aragorn?
I guess, I don't know.
What? Aragorn's replacement?
You've seen one dwarf, you've seen them all.
I suppose so. I don't know if we should generalize that.
Yeah, I don't want the dwarf contingency of Champaign-Urbana with their little pitchforks and torches outside the building here.
I mean, I like the film. I will say that much.
You have to admire it.
Yeah, but for me, the main problems I had was that the score was repetitive, the action scenes, you basically knew it was coming at every stretch. The only really unique moment I thought, other than that conversation that Bilbo had with the one dwarf, is the fact that you had Bilbo with Smeagol, or Gollum, as it were.
Yeah, that was a highlight.
And the game of riddles was just the one thing that I really said, oh, now we're really getting into something. And I'm going to just call out right now, that final battle of Part 1, the weakest thing I've ever seen.
Oh, where they're stuck in the tree.
Yeah.
And then the big birdies come and save them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, that's what you're going to do to end Part 1. You're going to have Bilbo and the crew in trees against things that look like orcs but aren't orcs.
Well, my problem is I think the alternate title to The Hobbit is There and Back Again. At the end of Part 1, we're not even there yet.
Yeah, we're not even there yet. We're not even close.
And that's a problem. Though I will say, he does leave us with a very intriguing image at the end with the dragon.
Yeah.
It's like, that's going to be pretty cool.
I actually knew when the movie was ending just because we were zooming in on that one bird.
Oh, sure, of course. Yeah, you knew.
I was like, yep.
Well, thank God.
Yeah, because I wouldn't have been able to handle much more.
Yeah.
I also like the Badagast the Brown. I thought that was really cute.
The what?
Badagast the Brown.
What the hell is that?
He's the other wizard who loves nature and was like trying to save the beaver from like dying.
The beaver?
Dying of poisoning.
Did I go out for popcorn at this point?
Okay.
Did I nod off?
I'm going to slow this down for you. Badagast the Brown is the other wizard that none of the other wizards believe in because he ate mushrooms.
I don't believe in him either because I don't remember seeing him.
He's the guy who loved nature.
Maybe I fell asleep.
You probably did because he was a very funny odd character played by Sylvester McCoy from Doctor Who.
Not Sylvester Stallone?
No, McCoy.
That would have been better. Yo, loving the nature here.
Yo!
Yo!
That would have been
Watch
great.
out for that beaver. See, damn it, we could have made a better movie already.
Yeah. Probably on a much smaller budget, which,
Smaller, yeah.
Much smaller budget, but, it works. Overall, I like The Hobbit. I give it 4 stars out of 5, but I don't know. My opinion may change on subsequent viewings.
I admired it more than liked it.
That I will also say. I admired the skill more than I liked it.
Yeah, definitely.
The second film I want to talk about today is This Is 40.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we could basically talk about this film the entire program because it's really just funny.
Mm-hmm.
But that's also its main problem, I think.
Okay. We wouldn't want it to all just be funny.
The problem with Judd Apatow when he does dramedies is that the drama is less believable than the humor is.
Okay.
Even though I can believe in the well, first, let's get the plot out of the way. You got Debbie and, what's his name?
Paul Rudd.
Whatever Paul Rudd's character's name is.
He's the same thing in every movie. Come on, he's Paul Rudd.
Fine, he's Paul Rudd. So we've got
Leslie Mann is married to Paul Rudd.
Yeah.
They're both turning 40 in the same week.
Yeah.
But she insists she's turning 38.
Or 37 or how much.
Whatever she gets caught on with any situation.
Right.
And a big party's coming up.
Right, and they're basically having to confront all the problems of their marriage in 1 week.
Let's say that they pop up. I mean, they don't consciously, want to face them, but they pop up. And we should also mention that he is in danger of losing his business.
Yeah,
He has
which is a record company.
A small recording label, recording studio, and it's in trouble. And she's also trying to reconnect with her estranged father,
As
played
well
by
as
John
keep her business
Lithgow.
running.
And her business, but hers isn't really so much in danger, but she thinks one of the employees is stealing money.
Right. Now, based on that premise, I thought to myself, I don't know if I'm going to enjoy this movie. I mean, I'm a fan of Freaks and Geeks, no question. But I didn't find myself attached to the drama elements as much as I did the comedy. And I wanted to be drawn in a bit more. I didn't think I was.
Okay.
That being said, however, the movie is hilarious. What they do with Megan Fox alone is worth the price of admission.
Yeah, and I've been defending her for quite some time now. I mean, she'll never play Lady Macbeth, but I think she's more than just a pretty face.
Yeah.
I think she knows who she is, what her persona is, how to play off that, and Apatow uses her, as you say, very well.
Yeah, there's a joke involving a mattress.
Well, and also she has a slightly drunk scene in which she talks about her other job, which gets progressively funnier as she talks more and more about it.
And when you hear what her other job is, you're just like, completely plausible.
That makes complete sense.
Sure, yeah. That also explains about what happened on camera when she's looking into the camera.
Right.
It all completely connects. But for me, even though that was hilarious, that to me wasn't the funniest part in the movie.
No, the film is replete with very funny things. There's no question.
What to you was the very funniest part in the movie?
Oh, gosh.
Because I've got 2 words.
Go for it.
Tell me which yours is
No,
first.
let me think, but go for it while I'm thinking.
Because you're going to steal mine as soon
Will you
as I
just say it?
Fine. Melissa McCarthy.
She's funny. She's funny.
You
I
didn't
would say she
find
was
that
the
scene
part.
in the principal's office the funniest thing?
It's funny, but she's becoming far too quickly a known quantity. I see her doing the same thing all the time. And she's got to start diversifying or else she's going to get stuck. It was funny, don't get me wrong.
It was.
But I found the outtake at the end of the same scene even funnier.
See, I didn't... Well, there's something she says in that scene.
Yeah.
No, and it's not any of the crude things she says. It's a sentence she says directly to the principal. I didn't hear it that first time because I was too busy laughing at everything else.
Was it about I'm glad your husband's dead?
Yes.
Yeah, she goes over the line. She goes way over the line there.
That was the one point where I was like, you dipped your toe in the water for pretty much half the scene, and then you just dived right into the pond.
Yeah, she did. I will say I like the opening scene.
The opening scene is hilarious.
The opening scene is quite funny.
The opening scene feels very natural to me.
It is natural, especially the wife's reaction is so... it makes no sense. You know, but it is a typical reaction that she would have.
Wait, why are you saying it makes no sense? It makes perfect sense.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
No,
I'm going to explain this for...
No, don't. We don't have time.
I'm going to shorten it then. The scene Chuck is talking about involves the two parents in the shower.
They're boning.
Yes, they are going at it. And the guy makes a comment about something he took 6 hours earlier.
He takes a Viagra pill, and this upsets her.
This upsets her because she wants things to be normal, and now that the chemical is in his system, it's not normal. I thought that was very funny and a very natural argument, but I didn't feel like I got more of those natural arguments as the movie went on.
Okay. But I thought there was another argument that I did like better, though, when he is telling her how she is 40, but she contends that, you know, no, I am 38. And she says, fine. He says, fine. She says, what did you get me? And he says, we weren't supposed to get any presents because it's the 40th birthday. She says, no, I'm 38. You know, so just that circular logic.
Yeah.
And that goes back as well to the first scene, this circular logic that is maddening. I guess it's, I reacted to the scene because I've encountered that. Not that situation, but that type of maddening circular logic that you cannot defend against.
I also have to say I loved and was most uncomfortable by the whole scene at the actual 40th birthday party.
Oh, you're supposed to be
with Albert Brooks and the incredible John Lithgow, who can pretty much do no wrong at this point.
Well, Albert Brooks as well. I mean, he's a schmuck, and he ran with it.
He relies too much on Jew jokes, and that was part of my problem with this movie. Is when you get to him, he plays the typical Jew jokes. And
was that his fault, or was that Apatow's fault?
I would call it being Apatow's fault. But I did like the movie.
Yeah.
I did. I thought it was very enjoyable, and I think I gave that one 4 stars as well. Now we're getting to the one movie that, when I saw it, I was like, I have to talk with you about this film.
Okay.
And that's Les Mis.
Okay.
First of all, I guess I should ask, are you a fan of that genre?
I'm not. And yet, when I see a good one, I am pleasantly surprised and usually taken with it.
Are you a fan of the way this one is done?
The only problem I had with the film was the same problem I have with the stage version of it. And that was structure-wise. I think that the third act just dies.
It does.
I mean, the main action of the film, this cat and mouse game between Jean Valjean and Javert, for me, is incredibly compelling stuff. And when it's played right, as I think it's played right in the film, I mean, you just are sucked in by these two guys. And then once we shift to the third act and the focus moves away from them and we get caught up in this young love story and this revolution that goes nowhere, for me, the story just peters out. Fortunately, they have a great last 10 minutes, which saves it. But that 35 minutes in that third act kills it.
I'm going to start with what I don't like about this film.
I just can't wait to hear.
Russell Crowe. Don't think he was fit for the adversary for Jean Valjean. I also really didn't like the...
Why?
Why? His rock voice I didn't think was suited for somebody who's supposed to be tough as nails towards Hugh Jackman's character of Jean Valjean.
So just because of his voice?
His voice didn't fit for me with the rest of what everybody else was bringing to the table.
Well, I would agree, but I think it was obvious that he took singing lessons. I think that he stayed within his range. I don't think he embarrassed himself in trying to do something he wasn't capable of doing. And I thought it was pretty gutsy that he was going to put himself next to Jackman and Hathaway, who obviously are, you know, in another league as far as that's concerned.
Yeah, Jackman has said in interviews that he credits his career to Russell Crowe for passing on Wolverine in the original X-Men. I thought the two worked well together. I just didn't buy his singing voice. Now, if we're talking about things that we loved in this movie, Anne Hathaway, hands down. I really think that she's in line for a supporting actress Oscar at the very least.
You don't think she was a little much?
No.
Okay.
No. I mean, I prepared myself before I watched this movie. I went and I found the song, I Dreamed a Dream, her version, on YouTube and listened to it and bawled like a little baby. And then I went to the theater like, oh, it's going to be fine. You know what? She's just getting her hair chopped off and it's going to be fine. And so my time-lapse reaction was this. Wait, she got her hair cut? Okay, that's fine. Wait, they're taking her teeth now? That's horrible. Wait, she's a prostitute and we have to actually watch this happen to her? This is horrible. And then the song came on and I was like, oh, that's not good.
It's all about context.
Yeah.
I thought she was a little much.
Oh, that
much.
pains me.
Oh, well.
Because you know who I thought was a little bit much? Amanda Seyfried. You want me to explain why?
Oh, I can't wait to hear.
She is basically the reincarnated version of the 1937 Snow White in her singing voice.
Okay, what's wrong with that?
It's a bit overly sweet for me. Not that I wanted any form of bitterness, but, you know, it's just overly sweet. It's like putting 6 things of Splenda in some really good tea. I don't know. It just didn't work for me. I believed her performance as Cosette. I didn't believe the attraction between her and Eddie Redmayne, though. I wasn't sold on that. I was more sold on the kid actors in this film, ironically. The younger Cosette, you just wanted to take her home and give her a safe place to stay. And the little boy who's in that rebellious army, that character never really had a name. Loved him.
The red-haired kid.
Well, he wasn't red.
His hair wasn't red?
It was blondish.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm almost positive.
All right.
Loved that kid, and seeing him die broke me up about just as much as seeing Anne Hathaway.
Didn't see that coming?
Oddly, no. I mean, I'd seen the musical before, but you never pay attention to those small details.
Okay.
So, I mean, I really enjoyed it, and I was really emotionally moved. I thought Tom Hooper did a great job, and I think it was a brilliant piece of work, you know, getting the actors to sing it live because you feel it more. Mm-hmm. Also, I want to point out to our viewers that there's a very, very interesting cameo at the very beginning of the film. Are you aware of this?
The priest?
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The priest is actually the original Jean Valjean.
Yeah, from the London stage version.
From the London stage version. Mm-hmm. And he was great in his small bit part, and that man, for being as old as he is, still has a great voice.
Well, yeah, and it, of course, speaks to how, you know, long this play's been around. Yeah. I mean, you know, they've been suffering, or I shouldn't say suffering, but I mean, they've been trying to get this, you know, going for years. But, you know, as you say, I mean, as far as being moved by it, it just goes back to the power of the music.
Yeah.
And just how well done that is.
I completely agree. I completely agree.
I didn't even hate Master of the House this time. Ooh, I didn't hate it that much.
Interesting. That was, I went to see this with a friend, and that was her favorite part.
Well, had she ever seen the show before?
She had not.
See, there you go. It's only after you've seen it a couple times and listened to the soundtrack that it becomes an earworm for you, and you start to hate it.
She actually found the whole thing laughable. She thought...
Well, it was, you know,
just
played over the top.
Yeah, because the sing-songness of it.
Right. Well, and I think it helped also those 2 performers that they had. I mean, they were, I think, perfectly suited for those roles. Is
Jackman going to get an Oscar, do you think?
No, I think he'll be nominated. Yeah. No one's going to get an Oscar other than Day-Lewis or Washington. I mean, I think it's wrapped up between those 2. But I think he'll be nominated. Maybe. It's a crowded field.
Do you want to talk about Django Unchained?
It's up to you. It's Django. We've talked about this.
All right.
It's your show, man. We'll talk about whatever you want.
It's Django, yeah. Let's go into that real briefly, because I haven't seen it, but you have.
I thought you saw it.
No.
Well, then there's no sense in talking about it.
Fair enough. We can move on to the top 10 then.
Okay, fine.
All right, so you want to go back and forth about what's on our top 10?
That's fine.
A best of the year? That's what we're going to do now. So what's the number 10 film in your top 10?
I went with The Imposter, the documentary that came out earlier in the year about the French guy who comes over and impersonates a young man from Texas who had disappeared years before, and the family that took him in. I thought it was just
great documentary,
fascinating,
and completely riveting
and disturbing.
Yeah, definitely.
Very disturbing as far as how it looks at human character. Get this one. I mean, I know people when people say documentary, it's like, oh, it's like eating broccoli. No, with the imposter. I mean,
Yeah.
this is going to suck you in and stick with
You will
you.
be completely captivated.
Like that film a lot.
And you will be completely shocked by the final minutes of the
Yes.
film. It will
The
creep you
turn
out.
it takes. Yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
Oh man, just incredible. My number 10 was Chronicle. I don't like the found footage genre. I've made a number of statements about that on this show when you mentioned Paranormal Activity and those other movies. But Chronicle is the one that I think got it right the most in terms of giving us a credible story, characters we can feel are realistic to the modern day, and just a great film overall. Even though the trailer basically gives everything away in terms of story structure, it's still a great film, and you still want to know how it turns out.
And interesting, the lead actor in there has been cast as Harry Osborn in Spider-Man 2. It'll be interesting to see him.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what he brings to Harry,
Yeah.
especially because Harry's supposed to be rich,
Yes.
and that particular actor looks very rough around the edges.
Yeah, they'll clean him up.
Very different from James Franco, I think. What's your number 9?
Wreck-It Ralph.
Okay, that's an
I like
interesting
Wreck-It
choice.
Ralph. It's a movie that I've seen a couple times now, and I was struck with just how smart it is. It's a very smart movie, and it has a lot of good things to say about people realizing who they are and being able to change and accept certain things about themselves, but not being locked into that. And if you know anything, if you grew up as I did in the birth of the video age, the video game age, it'll take you back there. So Wreck-It Ralph I thought was quite good.
Okay. My number 9 is The Raid Redemption. I am a sucker for a good martial arts movie, but what they pull off in the fight choreography here, even though it is very much like a video game, as you say.
Oh yeah, it is.
Absolutely stunning fight work and characters that you openly detest.
Yes, yes. Dread reminded me a lot of that. I don't know if you had seen Dread.
No, still haven't seen Dread yet.
Very much the same structure.
Okay, what's your number 8?
I went with Flight. I thought Flight was quite good. Not a perfect film by any stretch. I think there's a subplot there that they could have gotten rid of with the young lady who plays the recovering alcoholic, but I thought Washington's performance was dead on, very moving, not typical of this genre, and I loved the ending. I loved the resolution that they came up with. I thought that they did not play cheap in any way, shape, or form.
You'll be surprised by what my number 8 is. My number 8 is Looper.
I'm not surprised by that.
I loved and have always loved Rian Johnson as a director-writer. I always think he can do very creative things when he puts his mind to it. Looper is no exception to that rule. I love the idea of having Joseph Gordon-Levitt be this assassin from the future. And the twists and turns this movie takes with him playing Bruce Willis in the younger years of his life and Bruce Willis playing himself in the older years. Just a fantastic film with an ending that's going to knock your socks off.
Yeah, yeah. Didn't see it coming, and boy, it was perfect.
You completely.
Perfect film. Perfect ending.
Your number 7?
Seeking a Friend for the End of the World. I know you weren't a big fan of that.
Oh my gosh, are you kidding me?
But I really liked that film a lot. I liked how it played against the whole the world's coming to an end thing, which has been done to death. But also I like the fact of the small moments that happen in this movie, the small kindnesses that are shown in the face of absolute catastrophe. And again, I like the message of that film about, even though things may be coming to an end, you still have to hold on to your own sense of humanity. I like that.
My number 7 is Wreck-It Ralph. We've talked about that already. You got. If there's overlap here, that basically means you need to pick it up on Blu-ray or DVD.
I would say so, yes.
If there's any overlap at all, just go out and pick it up.
Right.
So my number 7 is Wreck-It Ralph. What's yours?
No, I just said number 7. I thought we're up to number 6 now,
Okay, we're 6 now.
Perks of Being a Wallflower.
Okay, I still haven't seen that yet.
I like that one because it does, again, take a look at a genre that's been done to death, the teen angst. Oh my God, what am I going to do? But I think it does it in a much more realistic way. Kids that I really, really ended up caring for. Ezra Miller, guy who really frightened me last year with We Need to Talk About Kevin, completely different in this film, an extrovert, a young gay man who's trying to come to terms with that, as well as how he's accepted in society. And Emma Watson from the Harry Potter films shows she's going to have a career past those movies. And I really liked Perks of Being a Wallflower. Check it out. Good movie to watch if you have teenagers at home. Watch together with them. I think you'll find some common ground there.
My number 6, right?
Mm-hmm.
My number 6 is one of those films that when you saw it for the first time, you immediately knew that, oh, this is going to do well. And that's The Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
Love Joss Whedon. Goes without saying, I saw Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel as a kid. And seeing The Avengers in all of its glory and Joss Whedon's craziness, just a good action film with characters that you can care about. And the weird part about it is it's a family film. It's about being a family in the sense that you have these people who have to come together because they've lost someone. I won't reveal who that is, but...
For the 3 people who haven't seen it.
For the... yeah.
Okay.
For the 3 people who haven't seen it. What's your number 5?
End of Watch.
I knew it was going to be there. I called that.
I love that film. I watched it again the other night. Jake Gyllenhaal, Michael Pena, 2 L.A. cops. The difference between this movie and other cop films is that they really get into the relationship between these 2 guys, the camaraderie, the passion they have for one another as far as looking out for each other. And it just put a face to police officers everywhere, I think, as far as the awful job they have to do and how these guys attempt to retain their humanity in the face of all the horrible things they deal with every day. I thought it was really well done. Okay,
my number 5, just because it's the film that surpassed the one I was originally going to put on this list, is This Is 40.
Okay.
Like I said, brilliant comedy. Absolutely love the humor. The drama doesn't work as well, but it doesn't matter because you go to the movies to enjoy yourself and have a good time, and that's what this film is. Mm-hmm. Your number 4?
The Gray, with Liam Neeson, almost a year ago. I love that movie, and it still holds up. It's much more than just a survival film about Neeson and 12 others who survive a plane crash in the Alaskan wilderness. They have a pack of wolves after them, but it's much more than that. It's much more of an existential exercise in which they all have to find a reason to stay alive. Some of them question the existence of God while they're out there. And they all, the final message is that you have to face life and death with no regrets. And I thought it was very powerfully done.
Okay, that's great. I think, I didn't enjoy The Gray as much, but that's just me. My number 4 is Moonrise Kingdom, Wes Anderson. Just the perfect summer film. That's the only way I can describe that. The perfect summer film. All-star cast, Bill Murray, Tilda Swinton, who else? Jason Schwartzman, and these 2 really just adorable young child actors.
And don't forget Bruce Willis. He was excellent.
And Bruce Willis. Yeah. Okay, you're number 3.
One of your favorite movies from last year, The Campaign. I love The Campaign. I don't care what you say. I liked it because it was funny, but I also liked it because it was smart as far as putting the whole electoral process under the microscope, showing what idiots we are for following it, and also showing the candidates that we've been stuck with. That's because we get stuck with less than stellar human beings running for office. And I think that for pointing those things out is one of the reasons I like the movie so much.
Fair enough. I still don't like it as much as you do.
I know.
Number 3 for me is Skyfall.
Okay.
I'm not really that big of a fan of the Bond franchise. The newer next-gen iterations done by Daniel Craig, the first of which was Casino Royale, second of which doesn't even exist. Skyfall was great. You had the perfect villain. You had a smaller story, I think, focusing on Dame Judi Dench's M and what her role is and how important her role is in the organization of MI6. Just a really great film and nice little small part for Albert Finney. Mm-hmm. What's your number 2?
Lincoln. Lincoln, I think, is a good counterpoint to The Campaign as far as looking at the democratic process again. Much, different in the way things worked back then, but also some similarities too in seeing the back door or the back alley back doors, deals that are cut in order to get legislation through, but also seeing Lincoln cast as a man with incredible determination, incredible fortitude, but also his flaws as well. But seeing this thing, this cause that he gets behind, pushed through, and him not letting it die. I think a great film, an important movie that legislatures everywhere need to sit down and watch.
So my whole deal with 2-in-1 is that I've had 3 movies at the 2-in-1 spot, right? And I'm struggling to choose what they are, but I'm going to. 2 for me is Seeking a Friend at the End of the World. I just absolutely love what that movie stands for. It's a form of togetherness that you don't often see in films. And there's a lot of heartfelt honesty in that. In the characters and their relationship with each other, in the characters' relationships with other people, how they surveyed different scenes and observed them in unique ways. It's just a great film. What's your number 1?
Silver Linings Playbook. Love that movie.
Okay.
Loved it, loved it, loved it. Again, people dealing with real issues, emotional, mental issues that come together. And even though it does have some hokey conventions about it, a dance contest at the end that means something, I just loved what Cooper and Jennifer Lawrence did in that movie. And also a great turn by Robert De Niro as Cooper's father, trying to come to terms with some of the things he's done in the past. Jennifer Lawrence, she could very well win the whole thing this year. I don't think there's a better performance out there. If she wasn't a star before this, she is now. There's a couple scenes where she just controls everything, so she could run the table.
Okay, my number 1 is basically going to have to be a 2-way tie, because I've decided I can't choose between these 2 films, neither of which any of our viewers will probably have ever heard of. One, for me, is The Sapphires. It's this Dreamgirls-like story involving these Australian women in the Aboriginal outback, basically a country setting, and these women are basically forming a country band, and this guy, played by Chris O'Dowd, goes on to manage them so that they can perform in Vietnam. And it's just a very touching race relations type of story, while incorporating really wonderful music and nostalgia in there as well. Loved The Sapphires. In keeping with that, my other number 1 is a movie that moved me incredibly deeply, and one that I cannot wait to buy on Blu-ray, Monsieur Lazare. I don't remember whether you've seen that or not.
Yeah.
That movie, the opening scene is worth buying the Blu-ray alone. It's so polarizing and so heartbreaking that what follows, the fact that you're moved by what follows, is just as shocking as anything that I've ever seen this year so far. Now that the year is over, we have to start our list all over again.
All over again.
And I just really love those movies. Those are my 2. So if you guys liked any of the movies that we listed on our show, you should go and buy them on Blu-ray. If you have any comments or questions for us, feel free to email me at chikec8@gmail.com or email Chuck.
Chuck Koplinski at gmail.com.
Until then, we will see you next week.